Hello. If you missed me last week, I was on a little vacation, which was lovely, and I was really glad to have the time for that. But I'm back today and ready to do a reading for you. I'm going to do this with the card method today. I'm going to invite the spirit of the elements, our guardians, guides, and ancestors to bring us a message for you. So if you have a question that is lingering in your heart, it's on your mind, that is just big and significant in your world right now. This is a tool, the I Ching, that can help bring you clarity, that will give you a sense of how to position yourself, what attitude to take, what energy to bring to that situation that you're dealing with, that you're questioning. And I'm gonna move my camera here in a moment so you can watch. I don't know which way is better. Maybe I won't move my camera. I don't know that it necessarily brings anything with this method. I've been contemplating a few other methods with the cards and maybe a new setup. So here in a few weeks, I might be in a whole different room and we'll see. Okay, going to spread out the cards and go on. Retreat. I feel like I've pulled this one recently. The path to success is withdrawal from a perilous situation. Retreat is vital if you are to remain whole. In this way, you are protected from your own weaknesses and able to remain devoted to your virtuous intentions. Do not let your ego mislead you. So, retreat has the earth beneath the heavens, and we get this image of a mountain that's obscured, it's very foggy or cloudy. And so there's peril there if you can't see where you're climbing. Okay, let's see where this is taking us. Mm. Humility. I've definitely looked at this one recently, so I'll link my video where I did analysis for 15. Temperance in all things. There may be too much of things in one place, but not enough in others. Take care to restore equilibrium in all that you do. Be in such balance with heaven and earth that your will is imperceivable, a mountain of quiet strength. Who can append the humble? No, none can cast blame or loathing on a humble heart. Okay, so we're gonna set these other cards aside and look at just these two for a minute. So humility has the earth beneath the world. So we have two cards where the earth is on the bottom trigram. So earth is not a changing case. It's not a changing element in this casting or this casting at all. It's very stable, and it's remaining. And then we have on the top heaven and the world, which are those two primal, divine masculine here, divine feminine here. And when the divine feminine lays over the earth, we have humility. We have quiet strength, that mountain, right? That cannot be upended. But when we have heaven over the earth, we have obscurity, we have peril, we have something that needs to be retreated from, which is interesting just when you think about those pair next to each other. Also notable is the last three lines are changing, all three of them. That whole trigram, that whole element is changing. So we will look at these three lines on retreat for our reading. Number 33 here. So some other names for retreat, we have yielding, withdrawal, strategic withdrawal, um, retirement or retiring. It's beneficial to persist in small matters. So if there's some small things you can do in your situation or with your question, it can be helpful to just to move very slowly and in very small increments in this situation that you're questioning right now. Um, and to not get too big-headed, right? Not to get too arrogant, to remain humble. That is going to be really important. Um, the advice to the superior individual here reads, um, the superior man, by keeping his distance from men of inferior character, avoids having to display wrath and preserves his dignity. The superior keeps distance from the inferior, not with anger, but with dignity. And so there may be, there's that thing that you're retreating from, that you're making distance from. You may be moving forward in small increments over here, and those increments are moving you away from maybe a person, it may be a situation, it may be an idea that is has been holding you back, that has been perilous for you, right? And so you're maintaining your dignity and remaining whole by um, incrementally moving away from that situation. Now let's look at our lines here. So with these three changing, we know that we have heaven changing into the world. That's like the big concept. That is this sort of driven will force that's creative, that's persistent, that, you know, changing into this sort of flowing, encompassing passive force. That's the general energy of these three lines that are changing. So 4, 5, and 6 are here. Line 4 reads, withdrawal for good reason. The superior man, okay, withdrawal for good reasons for the superior man, good fortune. For people of mean attainments, misfortune. So, meaning if you're withdrawing for a good reason, which is what it says, rather than for like spite or resentment or these mean attainments, right? If you're withdrawing for the right reason, you will have good fortune. If you're withdrawing for the wrong reasons, you will have misfortune. And that is a potentially a past line for you. So you may have been in a place where you felt the desire to retreat for something for the wrong reason. Um, and whether or not you did is of question. You may or may not have acted on that desire, but you were feeling it. And you may have withdrawn internally. Maybe you didn't actively run away, but you sort of turned away inside of yourself from this situation. And you may have done that for good reasons or bad reasons. So you might just be questioning that situation, where you have been with it so far, and where your motives were in those days before today, right? That past time that this line may be representing for you. I'm going to read a little bit more on that. It's important as you're examining these reasons for retreat to think very carefully about um, what truly matters to you. What are what is it your heart um, needs for future happiness? In order to be open, what does your heart need in order to be open? Have you been closing it due to this peril that you feel? Um, in order to gather the energy that you need to transition or to make that retreat with dignity, which is our advice, you need to know your own heart um, and what you care about. So think on that. And then in line 5, which is our next line, that's the middle line of these three that are changing us into humility. That is our central line. So that may be the moment you're feeling right this minute. Um, and before I go into reading that, just a little bit on that examining or reflecting piece. Um, you may have had a plan of action for retreating. You may have had a really clear idea about how you were going to go about this. Um, and that going back to that openness and what the heart really needs, if you have the right reasons, um, the retreat may be fortunate for you, but um, don't get too attached to a particular way of retreating, what that particular plan might be. Um, examine that as well. Examine that it is coming from the right place. You may be tempted to retreat in a harmful way when that's not necessary. Um, that's something to carefully think about. Okay, sorry, line 5. The fifth line shows its subject retiring in an admirable way. With firm correctness, there will be good fortune. And and another translation reads, an admirably carried out withdrawal, persistence in a righteous course brings good fortune. And so that kind of reflects back on the idea of the way. So if you think of this previous line as that temptation to retreat, and you may have been wrapped up in a whole world of reasons for why you wanted to retreat that were either misguided or rightly guided, right? Good reasons or base reasons. Um, and you may have had a whole plan in either direction. Um, but you're now in a position, you have attained a level of consciousness where you truly can examine that and do this thing in the right way. Do it in the way that will be beneficial to you and bring you good fortune. You have all the tools you need now to make that plan admirably. It's important that it be something that's simple and um, with integrity, that it doesn't need to be a big deal. We've talked about, I think this came up in the previous one about retreat as well. Um, but there will be a feeling of deep connection to a source, to perhaps this grounded, humble world energy, right? The passive is all the world. There is this grounding that you feel to the source that's going to help you feel dignified and just move through this in a very firm, loving, dignified way. You are in the place to do that now. Line 6 Says you bring wealth and fertility to everything around you. Break, you may want to break forth into passionate speech, but don't forget the lessons of a hidden retreat. Um, Hold back that speech for now. The energy that you feel compelling you to make that great proclamation is important. Energy to save for the next day, for the next part of this journey. Um, it's not for this place you're leaving. That's not what that energy is for. Let's look at humility a little bit. So humility is hexagram 15. And like I said, I did an analysis on hexagram 15. It's a really lovely video that I'll link in the description for this one as well. But humility is the thing, the source. It is that source, right? That is that deep well of self that you have built up beneath the surface. It doesn't need to be out in the world yet. It's the hidden growth that's important, that brings you a sense of certainty and assurance, and security in your decisions and actions in the world. That's sort of like the image that comes with humility. And I'm going to just read the description of this a bit, because this is where you're heading. This is uh, a place of security that you will be in as a result of having left the situation that you're in. And it's just nice to look forward into that. Temperance indicates successful progress, the superior man carrying things through, continuing the work to the very end. One translation reads, a chunzi possesses completing, this a completion of something you've been developmentally working towards, right? Let's see what else we have here. A mountain hidden within the earth. This one is about balance. It's a balance that is achieved when we can cut away all of these things like our ego and our pride, that get in our way and complicate every situation we try to interact with, right? You have to reduce those things, minimize them in order to really get to that secure place. They are not the source of your security, your pride, your accomplishments, your goals, your ego are not the source of your security. Those are things that should be lightly held, and adaptable, right? Mutable. This is about balance, right? Balancing yourself, this inner adjustment that when it is in balance, brings you really clear insights, really sound judgments, and action in the world, right? So that's where you're going to be in this situation. You're going to have that. You're going to accomplish it, because you have been carefully calculating your retreat so far, and it's going to get you there. And that's what I have.